What's up everybody, it's Tuna. Today I wanted to make a little video to show you guys an advanced tool in Path of Building that can pretty much increase your damage by an absolute ton. It's something that not a lot of people have actually been using. It's an insane tool that once you know how to use it, it can really be beneficial for you. And the main thing that it's good for is usually for jewels, but this can be used also for jewelry, as well as quivers and things like that, even bows sometimes, weapons. And that is right here at the top. It's the trade for these items button. So this is my lightning arrow league starter Path of Building. And what we're going to look for in this PoB is we're going to look for a new jewel, right? So what you want to do is you want to click trade for these items, and then it's going to give you a list of slots essentially. And what I want to do is I want to go to like socket 1, for example, which is going to be my jewel socket. What I want to do is click find best. And jewel, set it to any type, and chaos equivalent doesn't really matter all that much, as you'll basically filter it out later on. Then you click execute. And what this is going to do is it's going to run a weighted search sort of calculation to figure out what your best stats for your build are. So now that I got a link, I control A, and I want to copy that into my browser. So I copy that here, and what it's going to show up as is a very complicated search with a lot of modifiers. So this is basically all the modifiers that are helpful for your build. One thing to note is that it's going to look at your full DPS, right? Unless you set it to otherwise. Essentially, what you want to do is, for example, if I want to increase artillery ballista damage here, you want to click full DPS there. But if you also wanted to click lightning arrow 2, you want to click that as well. And then basically that's how you're going to be getting a total of both your artillery ballista and lightning arrow, right? So in the case that you wanted to see like your global damage rather than just specifically artillery ballista or whatever, so you got to make sure that you set up your full DPS first. Again, we're going to run it again to make sure that we are seeing the bigger picture, and then we get our link. All right, so let's paste that again here. And now we're going to get, again, a ton of jewels. So, right, it's going to be like 10,000 plus match results. And what you can see is that here there's a number called a sum, and it says sum 0. So essentially sum 0 means that it's not a good jewel for your build, and the higher that number goes, the better it is in Path of Building, right? The more DPS it gives you. This is a way for you to search only for damage, right? But imagine a scenario where you want more than just damage. Like if you wanted a life roll, or if you wanted a specific corruption or a specific modifier like a resistance or something like that, you would have to add that as a new stat group. However, since this search maxes out all of the stats possible that are like, best for your build, you want to be deleting some of the ones at the bottom, which are going to be like the lowest weights, so it doesn't matter all that much. But yeah, basically just delete some of those and then click a count search type 1, right? And then you can look for example, maximum life. And since we are looking for both abyss and normal jewels, I will do both maximum life and % increase maximum life. And so, we're not excluding one or the other. And then now you can search again. And again, we have way too many results. So we want to narrow that down. What I do usually is I click this sum number. You can see that it's going to get to a number of about 74. And then the next one down is 64. So what I want to do here is I want to type 60, right? So the minimum is going to be around 60. So this is like the lowest it's going to go. And when you click search, now I've narrowed it down to 300 results. And you can see here that, it's 1 chaos for one of these. And it's going to give me jewels that are pretty okay for my build. And if I go and I list by like the highest damage ones, of course you're going to get some really expensive stuff, but it really narrows it down to some jewels that are excellent for your build that you might have not otherwise spotted if you didn't do this search. And another thing that you could do is that since now you know the values for the build and like what the jewels, how much they cost, so I could go for a weighted sum of 100. You see here they start at 2 divines, but I can do an active live search. So people that are sort of underpricing them, they're gonna put that up, and then you can just basically snipe them off the market and increase your DPS substantially that way. And another thing is, of course, if you're seeing all the jewels show up and all of them are gonna be normal jewels, but you want to have an abyss jewel, you're gonna have to first of all go a little bit down on the weighted sum and here type abyss jewel, right? So we're gonna have to go a little bit down on weighted sum. You can see here are the best abyss jewels for the build, and we go up in some, and this is literally the best jewel currently that I can use on my build. So yeah, that pretty much sums up the weighted search for jewels, right? And what you want to do to get the best jewels possible. And another thing that you can do is you can use this on jewelry as well. You can use it on amulets. You can use it on quivers, for example. It's really nice to use it on quivers actually, as I'll show here. So we want to look for a quiver. It's going to calculate once again. We copy that into our search. Boom. And then we want to also make sure that we have, you know, some of the stats that we want. Like imagine I wanted to have bow attacks, fire, you know, additional arrow, and then also maximum life. So then I do a count of 2. I put those 2 stats in and I search. It's going to show up here 300 results with a weighted sum. So then you can type the number, you know, click the number as you did previously, and these are going to be the best quivers currently on the market. So it looks like about a sum of 300. So if I was to go here and type 250, right, you see that you know, it costs about 5 divines for one of these, and these are going to be giving you the most damage in Path of Building, basically compared to any other quiver, right? And then you could then copy this item and directly paste it here, and we could basically, yeah, put that there. And so we're going to get an additional arrow and all of that good stuff that we looked for, and it's going to cost us, you know, as little as possible because we managed to make a filter for that. So yeah, also, as I said, you can make this for jewelry, all that kind of stuff, but it is absolutely most useful for jewels, quivers, weapons, things like that. Just keep in mind that there are some stats that you might really actually want on your items, so that's where you put it here in the count search at the bottom, and make sure that you delete a couple of things. So next, another way to get an insane boost in your damage is going to be finding a correct timeless jewel. So in my situation, I am looking for a lethal pride. Lethal prides are you know, absolutely insane for bow builds because they provide double damage. They can provide a ton of strength, you know, to meet your strength requirements for certain gems and whatnot, and also strength obviously provides life. They can give you % increase maximum life, as well as, you know, potentially endurance charge on kill or intimidate. Intimidate is basically a stat that makes enemies take 10% increased attack damage. This is something that you should keep in mind, right? So how do you do that in Path of Building? Path of Building, what you want to do is you want to click the bottom here, find timeless jewel. You click that, it's going to show up with this window here. Then what you want to click is Lethal Pride in my situation, but you can also do this for, you know, Elegant Hubris, Militant Faith, Brutal Restraint, basically every single jewel. Next, you want to select your jewel socket. In my case, it's Acrobatic, but if you wanted to, like, you know, put it anywhere else on the tree, then you can search this way and select the correct jewel socket. And make sure you click Filter Nodes, because what it's going to do is it's going to look at the nodes that you have allocated within the radius of the jewel, and it's going to say, you know, the desired nodes that you want are going to have to be on those, or, you know, otherwise it's not going to show you the jewel. Right, perfect. Click that, and now you want to select your stats. So it also gives you a nice handy little list of stats that you can look at. In our case, we want to look for double damage. That's biggest DPS that we can get on this build. And then in a situation where we might want to get Intimidate as well, you can click that. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to keep it at double damage. And, you know, potentially another stat, actually. Yeah, let's add in another stat just in case. Intimidate. So you guys can see what it looks like once you have multiple stats, right? All right. Now you click search. And what you're going to see is when you hover over it, it tells you that this one has 5 double damage on it. And then this one has 3. So it's going to basically sort it at, you know, 4 results in total. So 5 results, 4 results, and then all the way down to 3 results, etc, etc. And on the right, it's going to be Intimidate. On the left, it's going to be double damage. And you can see that because, you know, it goes from the top one is the left, and then like it goes to the right, every other stat that you add onto there. Yeah. In this situation of Intimidate, right, you don't want more than 1. So that's where you have to keep this in mind. But in other situations, it doesn't matter all that much. So then you have all of these jewels, right? And you want to search for them on trade. And you can copy the URL, and it's going to select only a few of them. So what you want to do is you want to be pressing Shift and then left click to make the list longer, essentially. So let's say I want to search all the way down to here, right? We don't want this one because it has 2 double damage, 2 intimidates. So make sure you don't actually select that one. Yeah, okay, so we selected the first bunch of results. And then we have the copied text. And now you want to paste that here again in the trade search. What you can do is you can show the filters, and it's going to show you all of the, basically all of the jewels, right? We need to make sure that we actually copy the correct one. Okay, and now it'll show you all of the jewels that you have selected, which is an absolute ton of them, right? As you can see, these jewels are like very expensive, right? They are pretty expensive. They start at 5 divines, etc, etc, etc. And you might think to yourself, you know, that's out of my budget, but is because people know how to use these tools now, so they're going to be a bit more expensive. But much like the other search, you can always, you know, activate a live search and hope that somebody lists one for cheaper than what it's worth. Yeah, so since those are very expensive, what you want to do is you want to select again another bunch of jewels, and then you copy the text in, you know, copy the next the trade URL, and you want to put that into another search, and you're going to do this until you find the jewel that you want, right? And or until you find one that's within your price range. You can see that the prices are getting lower, and if you still can't afford that, obviously you keep doing that until you find one that is cheaper. But I do recommend you have like a live search up for these, because, you know, one might pop up. Like in my situation, for example, I got one that has 3 double damage rolls. So that's 1 double damage, 2 double damage, strength, and another double damage, right? So it has 3 double damage, and that cost me about 100 chaos. So you never know when somebody lists one for too cheap that you can just basically snipe right out and put that into your build. Yeah, that is how you do it here in the Path of Building. But there's also a website that you can use that is very handy too, that I will also link. And that is, you know, the Exile GitHub Timeless Jewel Tree Calculator. So in the case of this jewel, it's going to be like a little bit more simple to understand. But essentially, yeah, you want to select the radius, then you want to select what type of jewel you want, what conqueror, and then you want to, from there, select your stats, right? So double damage in our situation. You want to deselect all the nodes within the radius, but select the ones that you do have allocated. So in our case, it would be like all of these, right? And then search. It's going to come up with the matches, and we want to click the trade search, and that is basically all, right? And then if you want to have a bigger search, right, you can click here at the top left to search, and it's going to come up with a bunch of results that you can take a look at that are, you know, going to be useful for your build. So there you go, and that is how you also use that website. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed you found some information here that can help you improve your build. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Have a good day, everybody. Peace out.